These are the 5 things that I wish I knew before I was a grandparent. Number one, your relationship with your grandkids runs through your kids first. You don't get straight access to your grandchildren. You get the access that your son or your daughter allowed you to have. The relationship that you built with your own kids while they were growing up is now the foundation your grandparent relationship gets built on. If there's distance there, it shows up here too. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to just walk over to the kids' house or drive over there and just say hello to the grandkids and whatever. And admittedly, there were times when my son would say, "Hey, now's not a good time. We've got something going on at the house and whatever." And I get it. Because when I was young and I had a family of my own, I probably wouldn't have appreciated my parents just showing up whenever they wanted to, or um, just having an open door policy where they just swing the door open and, hey, we're here. You call first before you come over, is what I'm saying. And so I think that we had a little bit more of a understanding at my son's house that when I called and needed to come over or wanted to come over to spend time with the kids, that I was going to be able to do that, but I needed to give some advanced warning and just kind of, ask, first of all, are you guys home? Are you going to be available for me to come over? I'd like to see the grandkids or whatever, but I don't get straight access to my grandkids, and it's probably something that I wish that I knew a little bit prior to becoming a grandparent. It's not that I don't have access to them, but I kind of have limited access to them because it's not on my terms and when I want to. And I understand that. Number two, you have way more patience the second time around, and you wonder where it all went the first time. The urgency that drove your parenting is mostly gone. So you're not tired the same way you were before, and you're not building a career the same way. And that relaxed version of you that gets your grandkids, that part that they get to experience, your own kids notice it too. And it's a little weird for your kids to see. Every time that I wind up coming over to see the grandkids and I play with them and I'm full of energy and I'm all about the grandkids and show me what's in your room and let's play this game and let's do coloring and oh, grandpa, you need makeup on and let's do your nails and I wish all my dresses fit you, Grandpa. Uh, play in my room constantly. All of this stuff that just gets revolved around your grandkids um, is not the way that Grandpa was when he had his own kids. And your kids see that. You see, they notice that Grandpa has more energy for the grandkids than he did for his own kids, and he showed more interest in the grandkids than he did for his own kids. Well, that was because I had a job. I had bills to pay and utilities and food to put on the table and grass that needed to get cut and all the things that go along with being a parent that you don't have those stresses on your life anymore when you're a grandparent and you have 100% dedicated time to spend with your grandkids. All right, number three, your role is support, not authority. And you're not the parent. And the moment that you forget that, even with the best intentions, you create friction with your kids that bleeds into your time with your grandkids. So, learning to offer your experience without imposing is one of the hardest adjustments grandparents have to make. And sometimes that's a little difficult when you understand that you see the same reactions of your grandkids that your kids do. So when they overreact to something or they misbehave or they're throwing a temper tantrum, in a public place and embarrassing you and stuff like that, your kids are seeing that at the same time you are. And sometimes your reaction is to react first and then think about, oh my gosh, I'm not this child's parent. I should let them take care of it. And we get impatient a lot of times because sometimes if I'm observing how a child is acting and mom and dad don't seem too quick to react to that, and sometimes I think that, hey, how long are you going to let this go on before you address it? Because you're kind of encouraging it by not doing anything. You know, I wish that I knew before I was a grandparent that, I just need to have a little bit more patience. I need to have a little bit more of a cutoff of, this is my role now as grandpa. And, my son is always going to be dad. My daughter in law is always going to be mom. So let them be the mom and let them be the dad, because I didn't have grandparents hovering over me or a parent of mine when I was raising my children to hover over the top of me and ask me, hey, are you going to take care of that? Like I feel like I want to do with my own kids. It's so tough sometimes to just let the rope go and let them lead and you follow instead of the other way around. But in time, you figure it out and you learn that you have to step back a little bit and take their lead a little bit, because in the end they'll figure it out, they'll know what works best or whatever. But then now as the grandparent, I can stay in the shadow a little bit and just offer my advice when it's needed. Too much of that, and I'm going to pay the price of not being invited over as much because my kids are going to feel like dad just offers too much advice when it's not warranted or asked for. So that's just like a happy medium there where you have to try to figure out, where your role is as grandparent and not parent now. That time goes by faster the second time. You already know how fast kids grow up and you watched it with your own kids. But knowing that and feeling it as a grandparent completely changes things. The urgency to be present hits differently when you already know what the other side of it looks like. When I was a parent, I was busy and occupied and had a bunch of stuff going on to try to, earn the respect of my family and have them be proud of me and make really really good decisions. So you don't get a chance to have an opportunity to just be present with them all the time, because as a grandparent, you're not there every single day, right? 'Cause mom and dad are there every single day, and your ability to be present with them is generally reserved for depending on where you live in relation to your kids, it might just be special occasions, right? Like birthdays and anniversaries and holidays and things like that. Um, I happen to have molded my life to be able to move to the area where my kids live so I can be a part of their lives more and be a part of my grandchildren's lives more. So I like to try to take that opportunity to see them as often as I can. There's a happy medium to that. Like grandpa can't just pop over the house and show up whenever he wants. Number five, being a grandparent shows you what you missed and it gives you a chance to do it differently. This is the one most grandparents probably feel but rarely say, because it makes us feel older than we want to admit. Watching your grandkids gives you a front row seat to the childhood of your own kids, and they had to start seeing the moments that you were too busy or too stressed or too focused on the wrong things to be present with them. And it's kind of humbling. It's humbling in the fact that watching your kids see you evolve and grow and be more emotionally open than you were when you were a parent to them. Because your kids, who are the closest to you and have seen you since their entire lives, know when your communication skills change, or when your heart opens up a little bit more, or when you're a little more open to hearing advice and their thoughts and their emotions. And like I said, it's a humbling experience for grandparents to see ourselves being called out by our kids for being like more available than we ever were, like, because we have more time, right? Our roles change, right? And I don't have to work as much, so I'm available. And I'm available for my kids, I'm available for my grandkids. And a lot of times we as parents are so stressed when we're we're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and you just basically have enough time to see the other parent in the doorway while you're doing a handoff of the kids. And that's a difficult thing to manage when that amount of stress is on you every single day as a parent. And when you get older and you become a grandparent, you don't have all of that anymore, because you don't have the comings and goings of the kids every single day and running here and running there, and trying to get food on the table at the right time and everything else. So all of that stress is generally gone. And like I said, your kids they see that, and they are the first ones to point it out to you. They will be the first ones to say, Dad, I see right through you there. That's not who you are. Yeah, but it is who I am, because I changed. Obviously I'm not the father that I used to be. I don't have to be that person anymore. I can be grandpa now. um, so anyway, I hope that you enjoyed the 5 things that I wish I would have realized before becoming a grandparent, because it took a little bit of a learning process and a learning curve to be able to know what my role was as grandpa. Like, I can't jump in and, discipline, you know. Not that I even want to do that anymore, but, I noticed it. I have to be a little bit more polite and, call the kids before I go over to the house. And, so my availability as grandpa, gets reduced a little bit. I also noticed that my kids, point things out to me that I didn't realize before as grandpa, like having a little bit more patience. And, I laugh a lot more than I ever did. That was something that my kids really pointed out to me. Geez, you're always laughing all the time. I never realized what a great sense of humor you had. And so I was always stressed all the time. I mean, we all are. But anyway, those 5 things are what I wish that I would have knew as a grandparent before I became one. So I hope those help, and I'll see you in the next one, because life isn't hacked, it's built.